for the show.
Oh my goodness.
The show.
Oh my God. I've been working so hard on this podcast. I just been dozing off anywhere. Listen, if you're enjoying the content, subscribe to the channel, like, share, do all the things. But this week's episode is amazing. If you are a fan of CHH, if you are a fan of battle rap culture, I'm telling y'all, I got one of the ones on the show today. Y'all stay tuned. Let's get to the show. We got one of the ones today. I wish I had my little button, my little horn. Yeah. Woo. Y'all don't know nothing about that. Y'all don't know nothing about that. This is classic. This is classic, dog.
Legends right there.
This is classic.
Shout out Mouthpiece too.
Oh, it's a big legend.
Just pull it over, let me hop in. Them out before I dumb out, trying to jump out my skin. Of course, victory's yours when they say I win. I played the line, now I'm backing off like a tight end. And they be like, Joshua, you the truth, boy. It's really my poor impersonation of you, Lord. So how can I be the truth, but you be a lie to them? If they follow me, though, all I'm gonna be is a guide to them. Lead you right to them. It feels like that's what I'm called to do. Get up in the Bible.
I could go in on that. I could go in on that. Listen, welcome, experts. What's up? We back at it again. Listen, if you don't know, we gonna show that this pod exists to enlighten, educate, and empower every human being to be the expert version of themselves. Yes, that's what the mission is. That's what this show is about. I hope that y'all been tuning in, that y'all been liking it, y'all been sharing it, subscribing, turning your notifications on, because I'm telling y'all, it's only going to get better and better and better and better and better. Turn to your neighbor and say better. Got to get a little Pentecostal, little seasoning in there. And so listen, man, I know I say this every show. But I mean it when I say it. Every single time I mean it. But this one of them ones, y'all. Yeah. This one of them ones right here. Man, when I talk about what I think is a exemplification of threading the needle of culture and faith and what it looks like to show up in both worlds authentically you. This one of them ones.
Yeah, hit the horn.
I gotta get my horn right, bruh. So I got someone here on the show as a guest today who is someone who I've known personally for quite a few years. Someone who I have followed and supported from afar off. I've seen this person's journey, more so like their creative journey from being knee deep in the CHH community, making music, showing up at shows, witnessing, evangelizing on their apologetical, BI. And now this individual is fully in the lane of what I would term like a battle rap missionary. And I gave him a new nickname today that he don't know is officially his, at least in my eyes. He's also the illest rapper the illest Christian in Nebraska. Is this the illest Christian in Nebraska? Man, it is a pleasure to have my boy on today. Loso, what's up, brother?
My God.
How are you, man?
Oh, I'm blessed, bro. Let me answer it honestly. I'm actually tired, bro.
Okay.
So I'm constantly
give me the honest.
on the road. You know what I'm saying? Like every weekend at a different city. performing, doing stuff or whatnot, and then coming right back. And I feel like I got to start, the creative process over. But definitely blessed, man. Honored, excited to come out here, do this podcast with you. I always tell people every time they contact me for a podcast, I always want to ask them like, yo, is there any way that we could do it in person? I know COVID kind of got us like, oh, yo, we could do everything online.
Yeah,
which is fine. But I just feel like there's a dynamic where like the authenticity of the podcast.
It's just the vibe.
Yeah, when I'm looking at you and we're right in the same room, the energy, we can feed off each other energy, but it's also, you kind of get this raw experience for the viewership at home too. So I love doing them in person, man, with the microphone, with the person next to me.
Yeah.
And I just think that makes a better conversation. So like I said, bro, I'm excited. Honored that you would even contact me, bro. I'll never take it for light, and I'm ready, bro.
Yeah, no, real talk. I'm gonna be completely honest. I mean, I know, we know each other and, we have some level of relationship, but you drove a couple hours to get here. So getting you here in person was something I was like, even if bro want to do it, I feel like the drive may be like a deal breaker. And so the fact that you even came and you got on the road, you came over here to do it in person. And real talk, because I'm not like someone who has a relationship and because of that, like there's a level of like entitlement that's assumed in it. It was I know, bro, he should respond back to me. Like I see your time and I'm like, bro, busy. He may never respond back. And I would have to get that, but you responded back. And so I'm happy, man, that you're on here. We got a lot to talk about.
And the only thing I needed from you, like I said, bro, just remind me, bro. Cause I was okay. Like, bro, I wanted to do it. I was committed. Even when you wrote me, because I think you wrote me a couple days before, and I said, "Yo, the only thing I need you to do is I need you to write me on Sunday, because I'm flying back." So my flight didn't land back into Tampa till almost midnight last night, and so you got to think about it. I got to get up by like 9 a.m.
to get over
to
here.
start coming over here anyway, and so so I think you had wrote me. I think you reminded me on Saturday.
I sent you the note on Saturday.
And I didn't write back. I seen it though. So here's the thing. I seen it.
I wasn't tripping though. Like I'm telling you.
Well, you wrote me on Saturday, you said, yo, you still coming? I said, oh man, yo, I'm definitely gonna be there. Thank you so much, because I really needed that reminder, bro.
Yeah, and real talk, bro, like, because like, bro,
and you got to charge that to my head, not to my heart.
Let me tell you what's like real talk. I think people who may get offended or feel away about like the lapse in response time, not to like broad stroke people in this regard, but I'm like, man, yo, I know for me, I got a whole wife, 3 kids, a whole job, a podcast, other stuff going on. So I'm like, yo, I get like, yo, I'm busy. I'm talking about me. Like I may respond to you in my head. I may look at you and be like, I don't have the brain capacity to engage you right now. So like when I get done with this other stuff, I'll circle back to you.
Hey,
and sometimes that doesn't.
Is a real thing. Responding to your mind is a real thing.
So when you ain't hit me back once, like I literally didn't expect a response. I'm like, bro, I already know you got a tournament going on, which I want to talk about. And so anyway, you came, you hit up on yesterday, Sunday. And was like, yeah, I'm coming, da. I'm like, bet. You know what I'm saying?
It.
So,
bro,
man.
and then even on the flip side, I want people to know, at least for me, maybe other people, I don't feel bothered like texting me again.
That was my thing. I'm like, yo, I don't want to be.
Do I want to feel like I'm like, nah, bro, like, I'm asking you to do that because I need that. Like, I need that.
As a man, I'm like, I don't want to come out thirsty. That's that.
Yeah.
But that's why having I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be thirsty.
That's true.
You know?
But that'll be something like, let's say me and you ran into each other at like, just at Walmart or something like that. You was like, yo, so I want to get you on the podcast. It's like, yo, hit me up. You know what I'm saying? Then you hit me up to book it and I didn't respond. Now, okay, if you hit me up again, it might seem that way. But that's why I went out of my way to reassure you a couple times, like, yo, I want to do this.
Much
like,
appreciated.
Even on like whenever you had hit me, I was like, yo, no, I'm definitely like I'm gonna be here, bro. I'm gonna commit to it.
Yeah.
All I needed was a reminder, you know what I'm saying? So,
nah, much appreciated, bro. Much appreciated. Okay, and so with that said, I think that's a good kind of transition. So you drove a couple hours, so you are from Tampa, Florida.
Yeah. Originally Queens, New York.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know that. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. I don't really rep it just because like, I mean, my life kind of was shaped out in Tampa.
Boricua?
Yep, Puerto Rican and Colombian.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like every Latin hit they from Queens, New York. I don't know if that's like
Always,
the epicenter.
Yeah. And then you make your way to Kissimmee, really, bro.
You know what?
Which is the capital of Puerto Rico. I tell people.
Yes, that Kissimmee does rival Queens.
Yeah. So definitely Queens, New York. But came down. My mom moved me and my 3 siblings down to Tampa, Florida, and then we've been here since.
Okay.
I mean, I went out here and finishing elementary school, middle school, high school, college, everything. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I rep Tampa. So this is where I learned how to talk, dress, rap. So it would be silly for me to kind of get on a platform and whenever they put my name and they put where you from, it says like Queens, New York.
And you don't got no real roots there. Yeah.
Nah, yeah, that's where I was born, and I've lived there till I was 10, and I also go back there yearly because I got family up there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But like Tampa is what molded, me, who I am. You know what I'm saying?
So your peoples moved to Tampa. Do you remember what year?
1998, bro.
98. So how old are you?
Man, so I had to be 9 years old?
98?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
90? So you what, 35?
Yep.
35?
Yep.
You're 35 now, turning 36?
Yep.
Or are you going to be?
Yeah.
When's your birthday? I'm just curious.
October.
Okay. You getting up there, bro, man.
Man, come on, bro. How about you?
I'm going to be 40 next month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just the black
I knew we was all around the same.
Yeah. Man, bro, like even just thinking about how many years have passed, like it's probably been at least more than I would say a decade since you and I met what feels like
I would say around like what 20 what would you say 20 where I feel like I kind of heard from you guys, I mean maybe like 2011.
Yeah.
Earlier, you say?
Yeah. No, I mean, when was I feel like and I'm not going to be able to like remember it exactly, but I feel like us, meaning like Tim and just kind of the whole Christian hip hop thing, like it was on your side of the state at Flavor Fest. That's at least the first distinct memory I have of like you and your crew during that time. It's definitely been at least 12, 13 years though.
Yeah, no, it's definitely more than that because that's yours, but like when I started linking with Nehemiah, when Nehemiah started doing Kingdom promo, but then there was also like little joints that was happening where I would come perform, but you guys would also be on the ticket. So it was like T-Strike, it was it was man, there was what was it, the Righteous Boys or what was it? Was it something righteous?
Man, it was probably like 10
there
righteous
was a group.
10 groups called the Righteous Boys.
There was something, bro. I don't know. I remember this one guy in my head. But anyway, yeah. So you had that type of
that
community at that time.
Yeah.
And so for me, I mean, bro, I was 2020?
Yeah.
21. So yeah, so it had to be that.
It's crazy, man. I was talking with some of my buddies recently. And so on like one of the episodes before, I was talking about like I'm such a big LeBron fan, not necessarily because of the game, but because he represents kind of like a stage in my life. And so I need LeBron to continue to be competing for chips and be competitive because then that means to me that I'm still like I'm vicariously like I'm still young because Bron is still and when he is no longer relevant, it's like I phased into unk status and I'm like trying to like I'm unk here.
Status right now,
and I'm unk in terms of wisdom and application. I'm too fly to be unk right now.
But you know what though? That's not a bad because even when I look at you, bro, if you told me and like you said, black don't crack, bro, but if you told me you was 30, 31, I would have believed you.
They say black don't crack. They say that beige don't age.
Yeah, that's so bad. Yeah, people tell me all the time too, bro. But you know what? I mean, we was talking about it off cam. You kind of just get blessed, and not even as far as like wrinkles or looks or whatnot, but just the quality of life, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like you still look good, like where you're able to still, I'm able to still go out and run and walk and spend time with your family and stuff like that. So that's the blessing in itself.
So quick rundown, man, because I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of people who watch this pod who are, have proximity to me and who I know make up my community that ain't going to know why I think you're important. Okay. So I want to talk about not only who you are now, but I want to talk a little bit more about like your origin story, growing up in Tampa. Mm-hmm. We've already alluded to it just in terms of us kind of existing in the same community as it relates to Christian hip hop, but you are a believer, you're a battle rapper now, which is something separate. But I want to talk a little bit about, I mean, we could go back into your childhood and all that, but I really want to pick up like at the place where your life was, where you were coming into faith, where God started to, pull on you, engage you, transform you. What do you remember? What year that you started going to church, that you felt God was starting to like awaken something in your heart?
Yeah. Growing up, that was never like a conversation in my home. Like I never went to church. Never but I always had like this like moral compass that was very, very, which I think everybody has, but it was, for me, it was very evident because of my mother, though. My mother was always, she wasn't even a believer either, but she was just, I mean, she was a
single parent home, or
single parent, single parent Puerto Rican mother, bro. So you already know what time it was.
Crazy.
And I was nervous to do certain things, not because of the consequences of God, because of my mother. So you know what I'm saying? I was like, I can't do that, I can't do that. But you know, when you hanging out, you know what I'm saying? Like you gonna do stupid stuff anyway. So, but it wasn't until some missionaries actually came. We was living in the projects in South Tampa, and I must have been, I think it was probably about 14 years old, and I remember them knocking on the door and just coming to invite my mom to church. And my mom, you know, when you're young, you really don't, not until you're older now, right? And I'm pretty sure you got the similar, where you could kind of like, hindsight's 2020, so you could look back at certain situations that you remember, be like, oh, my mom and my dad was going through it at this time. You know what I'm saying? Bills, food, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So at the time, as a kid, you don't really know it, but I remember sitting there, and I thought we was good, but the place we were living in was bad. You know what I'm saying? I remember we used to have to like.
This is in Tampa.
This is in Tampa, bro.
Okay.
I remember the neighbors across the street. They were cool with my mom, and not across the street. I'm sorry, just across the hall. Like our apartment was here, but our lights were getting cut off, bro, because my mom was working 2 jobs at Burger King and KFC, and but thank God though they used to run the extension cord. Yep. And so you know, just something like that, just so we go ahead and have some power, bro. Like, and man, I'm even segueing, and if I go off track,
bro,
anything,
do you?
But one thing about me, bro, and even there's never, I don't care if I got $5 in my pocket, bro. I mean, because of those times, there had just been several times where the Lord has put certain people in our life to like let us sleep in their room that they just had, you know, that they weren't going to charge my mom rent, or like, you know, putting the light or giving us a big fan so you know it was hot and stuff. Like there were certain things like that for me, bro, growing up, I was just like, yo, my door's always gonna be open, bro. Like I don't care what's going on. Like, bro, if you don't have somewhere to sleep, bro, and I don't care if I got whoever I got living with me already, like, come on, get on my couch, you know what I'm saying? I just always, because of how low we were living at one point, and I remember seeing certain blessings come my way that, you know, it
just imprints a level of like gratitude
that never goes away, bro. It just never goes away. And so, you know, I'm sorry going, but anyway, so missionaries come, boom, and they start inviting my mom to church. And I just remember, I don't remember the conversation. You know, I'm a little kid or whatnot. I might even be younger than 14, honestly, but I just remember them getting in a circle and my mom crying, you know, and so. From there, we started going to that church. It was a Pentecostal church, Spanish joint. They actually came from New York, and they planted a church out there. And so from there, I mean, this is my first time being introduced to Christian things, fellowship, hanging out, you know. So you start hearing the stories.
And this is Hispanic church.
This is, predominantly.
So,
granted, no, it was in English. But what I'm just saying is like the demographic was like, I mean, it was all like, you know, like these are just like you said, the Puerto Ricans from New York, they came down to Tampa, Florida, bro. Boom, playing. Yeah. Now I don't know if you ever heard of a big church out in New York called the Brooklyn Tabernacle.
Yeah, bro. I got the Brooklyn Tabernacle CD.
Come on, bro.
Bruh.
Bro, you could throw any song right now. I'll go ahead, bro.
Bruh,
You
let me tell
know,
you.
soprano, alto, what you want. But I say this. So they came, from there, one of the pastors, and he just passed away a couple years ago. My first pastor ever, Pastor Porter, I think. But he planted a church called Tampa Bay Tabernacle, and that was the church that invited my mom. You know what I'm saying? So
Bruh,
like that.
First of all, I'm on that Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir. I still have one of their double disc CDs.
Classics, bro.
Bruh, I was, you know, I think you probably have heard me tell a little bit of my story before. Like I was locked up for a stint, and in the chapel area, like they had, bruh, I used to be in the chapel. I'm talking about hardcore felon, Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir, in that mug in the chapel.
Come on.
Going in. So I love Brooklyn Tabernacle. You're going to make me go back and pull them out, blow the dust off.
Yeah. Hey, take them, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm trying to tell you, bro. Like, and I only know them because, you know, I had no recollection of them before, but I only know them because that's all we're singing.
Yeah.
Like, we used to do, like, these, like, little mini choir concerts. And, you know, and so, you know, you at church because my mom just dragging me to church all the time. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Like, these songs actually ain't too bad.
They do
so,
hit. They hit.
But you know, but even still, I'm in there. I'm not really building no real relationship myself. I'm in there, you know, for the girls. I'm in there just to kind of get away. Then you have your friends there, right?
Yep.
Who on the same time their parents dragging them. So you build relationships. So you kind of like going there. The food cool.
It becomes a social outlet. You know what I'm saying?
Come on,
I have
bro.
a very similar
Yes,
experience.
you know what I'm saying. You have friends. So now I'm wanting to go because. You know, even our youth group, like, we're doing certain trips. We did, like, a trip to Orlando, and then, you know, we might do a camp. And, like, our youth pastor, like, he was really, really, like, hands-on. He was always there, so which was really cool because and that was another thing. I built such a great relationship with the pastor and the youth pastor, almost like a father. Like, they were like father. Like, they bought my first car, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like it was, and I didn't have one. So these guys were teaching me, like, how to use a hammer, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, fixing my car, or, you know, I would just be with them all the time, playing basketball all the time. And so I built a relationship with them that was so strong that I started living in a way that was reflecting, you know, Christian values. But it wasn't because I had, like, the gospel had impacted my heart.
It was a level of, like, discipleship by association type of situation.
Like, bro, because, like, if you would have asked me any question, like, I wasn't really, like, diving into the scriptures. I didn't know the gospel. Also, I didn't really have my own relationship with God either. Like, it was these guys that I looked up. They were such great men that I started
emulate them.
I was emulating them.
So
which in turn, you know, hey, Paul's like, hey, follow me as I follow Christ.
It's still a seed planted.
Yeah, and
know?
I didn't know, right?
And I you know, I would obviously I don't know these men of God, but I would venture to know that they knew what they were doing, even, you know, like, just by modeling what a wholesome man looks like, even if they're not saying, hey, Jesus line A B C D.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, you were talking about you know, them just kind of being father figure models for you. So was your pops around growing up?
No, he passed away. He was he's the Colombian side. Mom's
Puerto Rican.
Yeah, he's Colombian, and he very, very active in the cartel drug life. Like, he's literally from Colombia. Like, he was not supposed to be over here at all. But you know, when you live in that life, I mean, you're gonna get it. You know, you're gonna get caught up. And so he ended up getting locked up when I was super young, probably around like 5. And then when I was 12, he was murdered. He was murdered in jail. And they put out a hit on him and my uncle.
Wow.
And so, but even in the midst of that, though, you know, because he was locked up in Colombia, I mean, I had no relationship with him. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so he was locked up in Colombia.
Yeah,
He was
they
locked
took
up
him
in the
back.
States.
Nah, because they got him in Queens.
And what's that, extradite?
They deported him.
Okay.
Yep, right, boom. And it's something had went on over here. In Queens. It was something. And then because there were already charges, boom, he goes in Colombia and he's in there. And then obviously, you know, whatever happens when he ended up getting murdered. But
did you have any type of relationship with him while he was here for any stint, or?
Yeah, when he was here, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, he was around. Like, granted, you know, he didn't have. It wasn't like him and my mom were like together, like raising us, but because he was there, I mean, I got pictures and stuff like that. But that was it. That was the extent of it.
You said us. You got brothers and sisters?
Yep. I actually have a twin sister.
Really?
Yep. I have a twin sister, and I have two younger brothers. So let me say this: on my dad's side, I got a lot more brothers and sisters. So, you know, and which I know them, but in the immediate household with my mom that I grew up with, it was just me, the oldest, my twin sister, 2 minutes younger than me, and then I got a younger brother who's 2 years younger, and then I got another brother who was 6 years younger. Yeah, so he's 6 years younger than me.
Okay. So you're the oldest. You know, I was the oldest out of 4 kids growing up. So, you know, a lot of responsibility just to kind of lead and be an example for them. And yeah, man.
Yeah.
So your introduction, if you will, just into like this faith way of thinking, this faith world, was through Tampa Tabernacle.
Yeah, Tampa Bay Tabernacle, boom. And so, like I said, I was primarily living morally because of these guys, but then it got to a point where probably when I graduated high school, a little after high school, whatnot, my youth pastor, who I was really, really close with, he ended up having kids. He got married, having kids, and so he and I wasn't talking that much, obviously, because he has a family now. And so I'm still around the same people, but I'm not really formulating. Like I said, I don't have my own relationship. So what ends up happening is there was this one guy who ended up coming back. He actually grew up with my youth pastor. They both, and he ended up coming back to the Lord, right? Which was a perfect time, bro, because he ends up coming to church, and I started building a relationship with him. And I think one day I must be listening to Jay-Z, and he goes, man, bro, you don't need to be listening to that. You need to listen to this. He gives me a Christian rap CD. I was like, bro, what is this? Like, this is gonna be corny. So I go home, and the album that he gave me was The Faith by The Truth. And so
that's one of them ones. Shout
so
out to The Truth, yeah.
And so I go and I put it in my CD player, bro, and I just remember appreciating him being able to rap, but there was something that I was getting. It was my own relationship getting formulated at this time, bro, because he's putting verses in his he's been scripture verses in his verses, and it's making me hit pause and then go read them like, oh, that's why he said that. Oh, that metaphor makes sense. Boom. And so when you're at that time, you got to think about it. It was a
What year is this? What year is this?
This has to be 2008 now, 2007.
Okay.
2007, right?
Okay.
2007.
Okay.
So the album must have just dropped, actually. The album must have just dropped. And so, but you got to think about it, though. Those artists at that time, they were also tight-knit. So if you knew one artist, they were featuring all the label mates.
Yeah,
so
it was like a domino effect.
So I was like, okay, well, who's this guy? His name is Flame. Okay, cool. Let me look up. Boom. Start. And you go down a rabbit trail of listening to the albums that they were. Oh, who's featured on this one? Shaolin. Okay, no. Oh, this is Ambassador.
Shaolin.
And so the thesis was the next album that I'm getting from Ambassador. And so, bro, all this stuff was happening at this time, and this is the first time that I'm able to start opening up my Bible on my own because I'm interested now because of these guys. Not only I start going on YouTube, and for the first time I'm looking at guys who dress like me, who talk like me, but then they could also articulate why they believe what they believe. That was very important for me. Because for me, my faith was being
modeled, but not necessarily like unpacked.
And it was being filtered through other men. So, but if I was able to go ahead and convey why I believe what I believe, I start owning it. Even if you just start speaking it, you start owning it yourself. Because that's the power. That's literally the power of the gospel, right? Like 116. Like I know we quote that a lot, but it's like, yo, the power. It's like, oh, wait, that word power right there is the same power that rose Jesus from the grave. So it's like, it's not the power of speaking in tongues, not the power of like doing this or doing works. Like it's like, yo, no, this message, like literally, like
is the power of God
something
to transform people from the inside out. It's something that's
so simple as like you don't think you think you got to do all these extracurricular activities. No, bro, it's like, yo, when you say this message, this message right here, bro, like, yo, for God so loved the world,
has power in itself,
and you have to believe that, and you got to believe it. If you don't, bro, you're missing the whole message of the scriptures. But you say that message and you believe, like, yo, and so when you start saying it, it starts transforming you. Now, cool. Fast forward, bro. All these guys I'm listening to, now I'm being discipled from afar, and it's so dope. But then I'm like, all right, but I don't know these guys personally, right? So I can't see them all the time. So I'm like, man, Lord, send me some guys that like I could like build with. And so Flame had a concert in St. Pete. This is going to be my first concert that I'm going to go to. Flame had a concert in St. Pete. And so I go to the Flame concert, and I go in there, and for the first time I see dudes with like dreads and like big t-shirts and stuff.
Hoodies.
And they rapping Flame's lyrics just like me, bro. And I was like, huh? So I seen a group of dudes. I don't really know who they were at the time. But afterwards, I was just like, man, I'm gonna meet them afterwards. I'm gonna just introduce myself, man. I need some friends. But I couldn't find them afterwards. So I said, all right, man, maybe it ain't meant to be. I'm at work. I was working at a college. I was like a financial aid assistant, and this MySpace, and I get a MySpace message from a random dude, bro. And it's my boy Kato. I don't know if you ever met Kato at the time. So Kato,
long time ago.
Yeah. So Kato writes me, and he's like, yo, I think I seen you at the concert. I don't know how he found my page. He said he just randomly found my page. He's like, "Y'all seen you at the concert? Okay, dope." He goes, "Yo, man, like, we should get up, chop it up and stuff." And I said, "All right, bet." I remember even the phrase "chop it up." I said, I was using that. I said, "Oh, he must be on it." You know what I'm saying? Because I got that from Ambassador. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I said, "Okay, cool." Didn't meet him. I randomly ran into him at a random Bible study. When after that, he was like, "Yo, I'm about to get up with some of my boys tomorrow. If you want to pull up." So I met him up in Brandon, and then we drove to Tampa. In Fletcher, and we go to like these ghetto apartments or whatnot. He's like, "Yeah, bro, you know what I'm saying, these my boys or whatnot." So we walk in, this probably like 2007. It's like 2007 and 2007. And I walk in, and it's KB. It's Second Chance. It's and it's just dumb, and it's OV. You know what I'm saying? It's Dumb 3, and it's me, Kato, and Kenny, and we walk in, and that was really the start of. I tell people all the time, start of what HGA.
You see how I'm repping today. It's all very intentional. All very intentional.
And so a lot of people don't know, even to this day, when people constantly, hit me up, I'm like, yeah, I know who they are. Like, I don't even dive into it. I was like, yeah. But that was the start of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was also the start of a like us just kind of like building a community of brotherhood where we're able to hold each other accountable and also build one another with our talents that we had, because I wasn't rapping before I met those boys, but they were rapping, and so but just learning the scriptures and then going to college together and all that other stuff.
So was there like a distinct moment where you're just like, oh man, you said I said the prayer of salvation, I confessed my faith in Jesus, and it was this specific moment, day, because I know some people got their born again birthday, like on July whatever year.
Yeah, so I don't have a specific date, but I do have a specific day and or like the time and what occurred. So for me, what happened? So in the midst of all of that, I'm on YouTube. I'm on YouTube, and I randomly run into some like YouTube video that didn't even have like no picture. It was just like an audio. I'm just hearing like this audio of this preacher, and he's just talking about the holiness of God, bro. And the thing about it though, bro, is like you could sit in front of the gospel message 100 times. But when the Holy Spirit, like, bro, and this is what Jesus says to Nicodemus, right? He says, "Yo, the wind blows where it wishes," right? Like. And what he's trying to convey to Nicodemus is like, yo, just the same way it's like, yo, the Holy Spirit's going to be moving, bro. You just don't know. You know what I'm saying? You don't know. Like for God so loved the world, like, you don't know what's occurring at the time. Nicodemus is a teacher, a Pharisee, right? Like he's coming at night because he's afraid. Like he doesn't want to be caught. So he's trying to talk to Jesus, trying to figure this out. Yeah. And later on, that's John chapter 3. You find out in John chapter 19 when Jesus, or I forgot what chapter, when Jesus after the crucifixion. Yeah. And Nicodemus is one of the people carrying the body, right? So he's standing. He's like, "Yeah, I used to rap it down. Nah, I'm with this one right here, right?" Yeah. What happened between John 3
and 19 and Nicodemus' heart? Yeah.
The wind blew. So the wind blew, and so for me, I'm watching that YouTube video, and the wind blew that day, bro. I heard it several times before. Yeah. The wind blew that day, and I was like, "What?" And it was Paul Washer who was actually.
It's so fun. I was gonna say that sounded like such a no visual, just the audio type.
Yeah, I don't know who posted it, but because people just random post. But it was him though, and at that time he was like, he's like super, or people claim that he was like this fire brimstone guy, but that he was like a popular dude, or at least in our community. And so for me, when I heard that, I was like, oh snap, and it clicked for me. So through there, I transitioned into obviously the Christian rap albums, and then getting some community with HGA, and then that kind of just, and then I went to college and stuff. Yeah.
So because I know how impactful Christian hip hop was for me in my own personal, if you loosely term, reformation. Like I had my own kind of the only way that I understood God was based on what my experience had been, not necessarily growing up in church, but having proximity to the church, very similar. My grandmother was the one who raised me, so she's taking me to church, and it's a social outlet. It's chicken and rice in the fellowship hall. All of the kind of the cultural ecosystem that you would expect for like a black charismatic church. And so even when the Lord saved me and I came to faith, I understood God through that prism, through that filter. Okay, this is through that experience.
Yeah.
And Christian hip hop, I remember it like it was yesterday, bro. There was this, I can't recall the station. I wish I could because I've referenced this story enough to recall it. But it was this station in like Daytona or New Smyrna that aired Christian hip hop from like 11 to 12 p.m. every Friday. And during this time, I was locked up. So I knew God. I was like, yo, I was very legalistic, very straightforward, very black and white. Yeah. And I remember I had my radio up to the window one night and I just caught like literally a glimpse of Lecrae's Jesus music. And I was like, man, what's that? And so I listened to it, and literally, bro, for like 6 weeks, every Friday, I'm in the same spot in my cell, in the window to get reception for that. And it challenged me to rethink my whole framework about God, because I used to rap before the Lord saved me. And I was like, well, now I'm saved. That's over with. That's done. And I was like, man, these guys are rapping about apparently the same God that I say I know and love. But I didn't think God was cool with me expressing myself this way. It made me go back and like revisit my very thought about who God was, what he was cool with, and enabled me to really kind of pick up my cultural expression again, you know, that everything that I had knew. Yeah. And so Christian hip hop was major for me. This is not a top 5 like Christian albums of all time.
Just yours.
I got my top 5 albums that are classic to me.
So I can disagree.
Classic.
Tell me, bro.
If you I know you're not gonna disagree with one. But if you disagree with this lineup, the conversation gonna go in a whole different direction. So of course you already heard me reference Lecrae. So Lecrae's Rebel, I think undeniably in the community, in the culture, super classic. Super classic. Okay. That was one of the ones for me. On repeat, I'm telling you, for years. Cross Movement, House of Representatives. You can't disagree with that.
No.
You can't disagree with that. Cross Movement, House of Representatives. That joint right there. Once again, like when I came to faith, I was locked up. Yeah. So it's literally my whole world was like diving into the book, diving into this music, and how it was shaping and reshaping my whole theology about God. Mm-hmm. House of Representatives, major. Because that's the first time, because I was reading my Bible, but I didn't even know words like theology. At all. Or didn't even know words like doctrine or eschatology. I didn't even know these words. These were the first times I'm being introduced to theological concepts and structures and talking about understanding the Bible in context. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I thought this scripture meant this all this time so anyway, Cross Movement, House of Representatives, that's the first time I felt provoked as a believer to study the Bible. Swoop, wake up. Wake up, bruh. If you know, you know.
Come on.
Swoop, wake up. I could tell you, go revisit that, bro. That's a suit. That was during the time. That was during the rise of just like, at the height of like CHH. But Swoop's Wake Up, super classic. I feel like shout out to Swoop. I love all your work. I feel like he been chasing the ghost of Wake Up ever since. Real talk, bro. It's like that's the one. That's the one. Yeah. But shout out to Swoop though. I love all his music after that. You already mentioned this one, The Truth. The Faith. Really, I could put Truth's first 3 albums as so you talk about Moment of Truth, Faith, and Big Pick. Oh, I forgot about Open Book. Oh, so his first 4 albums. So Moment of Truth, Faith, Open Book, Big Pick. First 4 albums out of the gate was classic. But out of those 4, I'm going to Faith, because that was the one that was like, this is most impactful. Facts. Now this is my anomaly, which you may disagree with me about, but I don't care. I gotta throw bruh in this. Bizzle, Tough Love and Parables. Super classic. Debut album.
He might have. So I just was never like listening to all of his stuff. So like, but yeah, I'm pretty
go back and check that one out, bro. Yeah. Tough Love and Parables. That was his. I think that was his debut album. And so people always like, they just like, when your debut work is normally your best work because you spend however many years like creating it because of just because of your life. That's like top 5 most impactful albums to me, because once again, I can give you the exact sentiment and reason why they are classics to me. I'll say Bizzle, I was like, oh, this dude is real.
But you also feel like these projects change the landscape of CHH. Yeah,
I feel like they changed the landscape. And they changed the landscape of my heart because I'm like, oh, Bizzle talking that talk. Like, it's greasy. Mm-hmm. And I relate to that because I'm like, yo, I'm, even in my church context, that people look at me like, you a little rough around the edges. To me, Bizzle was like, yo, he a little rough around the edges. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, that's my top 5. Give me yours.
Okay, so so these are my 5 right here.
I can already tell you finna throw some trash out there. Your whole body posture changed.
But here's the thing. No, you gonna agree with Rebel, right?
Okay, I got you. Rebel. I'm with you on that one.
I think that was probably. So you got to think about it, and so I'm gonna go ahead and give reasons for this. Rebel is coming out at a time.
What's this? 09? This had to be this 2009. It's 2009. I know for sure.
08, 09, right? Unfortunately, the ambassador has his situation, right? He
Correct.
needs to sit down.
Yeah.
The true situation is about to just unfold right when Rebel drops.
I feel like I feel like, not to get, because I don't know them personally to get into all that, but just in terms of like the trajectory and the tone and the movement of CHH was altered tremendously because of those 2 events. Like CHH meant a certain thing, and then when those brothers were in the process of being rehabilitated and sitting down, there was a vacuum that got filled, which praise God for it, that I think took CHH slightly in a different direction. That I won't even say it's negative. It was just different.
Reach Records grabbed the baton. We got it from here.
Yeah.
We're not about to drop this ball, even though you guys were the top 2 figures. Mm-hmm. It was similar to when Biggie and Pac died, and out of nowhere, DMX comes out of nowhere, and you like, oh, who's this? And he's just taking the world by storm. Mm-hmm. The truth, so Rebel comes out, boom. Okay, and Rebel. So and if anybody knows, you had to be at Flavor Fest, 08, bro. 08 Flavor Fest. Lecrae comes out, bro. And and you just see it. You just see the shift of CHH kind of just, you know what I'm saying? Because the year before, The Truth had headline. Lecrae goes, boom. You kind of already knew. I actually went to the His Story tour. I don't know if you ever went to which was the Cross Movement, Reach Records, Lamp Mode tour. And it was called the His Story. It was Cross Movement's last album, I think they did. And so they all get on tour. But on that tour, you had R. Swift, you had everybody. And on that tour, you kind of already knew there was a passing of the torch. It was supposed to be The Truth. But you had Lecrae there too. And bro, every night I heard that in a different city, one of these guys were taking, and I know but I'm giving you some gems on this. In Orlando they go, and Lecrae goes on. Mm-hmm. And this is, after the music stopped. So, bro, it was so electrifying in that room. Everybody else performing, everybody's having a good set. Lecrae goes out there, turns the microphone to the crowd, and the whole crowd, back in the day, I was a lunchroom rapper. Now like a punchline rapper. Bro, didn't he have to rap a word? And everybody's just like,
what's happening?
The Truth comes out after him, bro. The sound messes up.
No.
Sound messes up. Doesn't matter, bro. He jumps on top of the speaker and he goes, "Welcome to our world. No hustlers." Bro, he's conducting it, bro. He's conducting it. You like, oh, these two are like battling, bro. Like competing. So, but Rebel is there. The Truth's Faith for me is up there. Personally, because like I said, that was the first one, but the Truth's Faith is up there. I just think you got rapping, you got this, but so Rebel was so dope because you had like this like Southern type of, even though he was already doing it, but the Southern with theology, but it was like great music. And then it was like, the concept was like, we rebels against the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what being a rebel is. It's not all this other stuff. Yeah. The faith was so dope because the concept of the album is like, this is what we believe in, bro.
Yeah, that's what we like. Yeah.
Don't worry about that. And so even when he does that whole welcome to our world, you know what I'm saying? At the end, and when he goes a cappella, I just thought it was like genius of how he kind of did it and stuff. The third one for me, and Man, this
the one that's trash because you pausing.
I'm gonna be honest, bro. I gotta and look. I wasn't even the biggest fan of him, but I'm gonna just say, I would say Andy Mineo's formerly known.
Formerly known. That was mixtape become album, right? Because that was his introduction. That was his introduction to Reach.
Because that was his introduction. Yep.
Because he was still C-Light. I think he was still C-Light back then.
He switched to C-Light for that project though.
I thought he was C-Light then, and then when he got on Reach, you know, he dropped the C-Light and was like,
well, he's transitioning to Reach in that project. Like he gets signed, I think. I'm pretty
formerly
sure.
Formerly known as tough.
Formerly known. I mean, I just think you had that song. You had and this is the thing too with him. I just feel like he came in and was already like one of the best rappers, and then also best song. Like he was on every hook. I felt like.
Yeah.
I felt like he was
on background.
Bro. Yeah. Every project, every Reach Records project, it was just a C-Light hook or Andy Mineo hook that you just had to kind of go to or whatnot. For me, this is another one, bro.
Number 4,
2020 Tripoli. 2020 Tripoli, bro.
I forgot that one. Yeah, you right on. You on point with that one too.
I'm trying to tell you, bro.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
And like I said, I could take formerly known off, but I do think like it was so impactful at that time and whatnot. But 2020 Tripoli, dog.
Yeah, undeniable.
Bro, and it was just this another term, right, that I hadn't heard. This hedonism, right?
Hedonism.
Where it was like, yo, you find joy and satisfaction.
God. Yeah.
You can do it in everything. But I mean,
God is, what is it? God is most pleased when we are. Yeah. Well, God is most glorified when we are most pleased in Him. Yep. Yeah.
Then he goes and he has on that song for me one of the joints that kind of like, because I was already a battle rap fan, but I felt like he had the song called "Who Is Like Him."
And bragging on God.
Yeah, and he would do that a lot, but it was almost, but the "Who Is Like Him" kind of almost felt like a diss to like all y'all dudes that's bragging about stuff. You know what I'm saying? Boom, like let me tell you why. Like yo, who's like this one? He could put the thumb on the front, like, and so I just felt like that was like so dope. 2020, and
you
then
got one more.
And then
you do for a dud. You hesitate.
Am I? Well, nah. I feel like you would probably give me a dub for the formerly known one though.
Nah, I respect like that project. It depends on what your fifth is. Because I love Andy, so I'm not going to shade any of his projects. So far out of your 4, that's the only semi-questionable one.
So everything else is classic.
Everything, I rock with everything. Yeah.
Man, and so, but people are gonna look at this, bro, and be like, "Man, Los, you such an old head or whatnot." But I just think like. And you're gonna disagree with this one, bro, but I would put Shaolin Stories up there.
Yeah, I do disagree.
And so let me tell you why.
But that's no shade to Sha though. Like,
And I don't think not too many. Everybody hates on Sha or whatnot. They feel like this, that, and the third. But I'm gonna say this, bro. Conceptually, I probably could have closed my eyes and picked any album from him. But I will say that his Stories album. I don't know if you knew the concept of it, but he was literally rapping as a character in history or from the scriptures or whatnot. And each one, it was so dope. One of the most powerful tracks on there, he has a song called Martyrs, where him, Jason, Evangel, and I think Young Joshua, I don't know. But
Joshua, I ain't heard that name in a while.
So they all have like a person that they're rapping as, like a martyr. And bro, I mean, Jason just kicks the song off as a little Chinese girl where it's illegal to read the Bible, and she's rapping about how these men are trying to kick in the door. Their secret, they're having like a secret church meeting or whatnot, trying to read scriptures. The gun and like how she wouldn't deny Christ. Wow. Like, bro, every single story, bro. Yeah. Like, but the beat, and then the beat switches for every character, and like, and then it finally ends with just a regular female urban missionary that's just trying to preach the gospel in the hood. Yeah. And I forgot who raps as her or whatnot, but Shaolin raps as James, disciple James or whatnot.
Jesus' brother James?
Yep. Okay. And how he gets his head crushed, you know what I'm saying? But all this like it was just dope. But the whole project though, I mean, he does it. He has one about a single woman, about a single woman who's getting cheated on by her husband, and how she has to still find her faith in the Lord. Like, it's just that whole project, bro, to me was just so conceptually dope. Great rapping as always he's the multi-king, so.
Yeah, I got to go back and revisit Shaolin. Like, what I always knew of his rapping and artwork was just very didactic, very dense, like theologically. And so but to me, the delivery wasn't always like, it just felt something like, I dig it, But
Dry, yeah.
you know. But I mean, that's a respectable 5. And this is not like a top 5 all time. This is like your top 5 was. So I respect that. I got to go back and revisit.
And that was the goal. To
work.
me, that's the goal. I think 04 to you could. I could have put a Flame album in there.
when I was thinking through this, I was like, Our World Redeemed. I was thinking Flame.
I could have put Our
2020 totally slipped. Slipped my radar.
Trip has a couple. You know what I'm saying? Trip's first album, which is what is it?
First album?
His first album, Young and Unashamed, right? Is that what it's called?
We're gonna see right now. Because I thought 2020 was his first album.
No, that's the second album.
Let's go to his discography real quick. Nah. Come on.
No, go back.
Albums.
Keep going.
Oh, it's going to take me all the way down here.
If they only knew. That's what it is. Yep.
If they only knew.
If they only knew is really a certified. Bro, he's like what? He's like what? 17 right there.
Okay. When did this come out? This was, if they only knew was, oh no, wait. So 2020 was 08. So if they only knew was 2006. I've never listened to that album. I'm going to go check that out. Anyway, okay, so I want to pivot real quick. All right, listen, I hope y'all enjoy this. We're going to get to the part that is, I think, super exciting because y'all don't really know, maybe you do, maybe you don't know, just how relevant Loso's ministry is to the world and in the context that we're in when we're talking about hip-hop. So listen, we're going to take a quick break for one of my favorite segments. This is There's Hope. Okay, stay tuned. We're coming right back.
Oh, what's going on, my expert human family? This is your There's Hope segment of the week. Listen, what I got, I'm making some pancakes. And I mean, my mix is so smooth right now. Watch, look how smooth that is. But it didn't start out that way. It started with just this mix. I had to put some water in it. I'm gonna put some butter in it as well. But why am I sharing all that? Sometimes our life start out just like the mix. You know, there's seasons in our lives where we got things that we want to do, but we don't know what to do with it or what to put into it to make it come out smooth. This is where we go to God. Like, God, I got this idea. I have this goal. I have this situation, or even I got this hardship going on. I need to know that you're going to be able to smooth this thing on out to where it makes sense and work together for good. And that's where that scripture in Romans comes to mind, where it says, all things work together for the good of them who love God and are called according to his purpose. That is a promise. That's a guarantee that no matter how it looks for us right now, what God is able to do with his miraculous, divine, sovereign power, he's able to make that one thing that has no shape, nor form, nor guidance. I mean, no type of guidance or flow to it. He's able to put his super into our natural and work it into something amazing. Trust God. This is my challenge for you this week. Trust God that he's going to be able to put his super into your natural efforts, into the natural situations that you're going through, and he's going to work it together for your good. All right? As I always say, no matter what has happened in the past or no matter what you're facing currently, always remember.
Okay, welcome back. Listen, we still talking CHH, man. We could really spend another hour and a half just talking that alone. But what I want to do is I want to dig into really probably how and maybe why people would know you most today, which is your battle rap career. So real quick, because I don't want to do a whole breakdown. Initially, I sent you a voice note.
Yeah. I
sent you a voice note about, I don't know, weeks ago. I was listening to your Bdot verse, your battle against Bdot, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so rich for so many different reasons. Not because, bro, when I look at things or when I am really processing things, I do it from a few different places, particularly as it relates to art, which I consider that a level of art. It's one, I'm looking at it all right, bruh, style. Like I'm looking at what you wore while you came in there. I'm like, there's some intention behind that, right?
Yep.
Then I'm
There
listening.
was one even with him though.
Yeah,
Even with his
100%, right? Then I'm listening to what's being said. I'm like, Then I'm going back. I'm listening to the crowd reactions because this is how you know when you frying somebody.
Come on.
When you look at the people that's supposed to be with them, I'll be looking at their faces. I be like, I know he frying him because even his homeboy like.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to pull up this battle, and y'all gonna see it on the screen right here. This is Loso versus Bdot. Are you still with the league? You was
Bullpen.
Bullpen. You still with Bullpen?
Yeah.
Okay,
They don't really do too much. They don't really do too much nowadays, but yeah.
Okay, so shout out to Bullpen and John and all them boys over there. I really just want to skim through what I think of some haymakers from the first round. And so listen, y'all, this is hopefully an introduction to some of y'all that in this world, these are like poets, these are battle rappers, and everything that you think that means, it means that. They are battling each other through the art form of rap. Loso is a battle rapper, but you've heard us talk enough about faith and Christianity to know that, or to assume that, or to believe that his worldview and his approach to maybe all things or whatever would be informed somewhat by his faith. And so this, you would obviously be able to provide more context around the battle. To me, I can tell you how I, as an outsider, looked at the battle. To me, this was like the Super Bowl of worldviews.
Yeah.
Am I overstating that a little bit too much?
What I mean, there was so many different ways that they marketed. I mean, it was definitely that. It was. I mean, you gotta think about it. That night, John and Chilla Jones battle, but we were still the main event. We were the most talked about battle going into that. We were the most talked about battle probably going into that year. On top of that, he was what I was doing in the South. He was doing on the West, where we were kind of just arguably both undefeated, running through competition, all this stuff. And so we're kind of getting to a place where it was like it's crash collision.
Yeah.
And so we went to John. Oh, they try to book it in L.A.
Where did this take place at?
This is in Atlanta.
Okay.
They try to book it in L.A., but then John picked up the battle, and so we ended up doing it on John's league, which was dope. But
did you have any nerves going into this? Because I feel like you would know, like, yo, there's a lot on the line here, right?
Yeah.
As it relates to and you helped me out with the context. Like, so I have been watching Bdot just kind of eat people up from his perspective and his worldview, and kind of diminishing the Christian faith, the authenticity of it, the historicity of it. And so to me, Bdot kind of represents or represented, at least in that instance, like an anti-Christian, whitewashed European take on Christianity. Yeah. And you represented what was supposed to be authentic, contextual, I would even say like applicable Christian faith for like, yo, if people were in the crowd and didn't know anything about this Jesus guy, like they could walk away and say, oh, I think I have some idea of what he believes and why I should even care about it. Right?
Yeah. He's Pan-African, right? And so it wasn't like he was against Christianity only. But it was more so, yo, that's a European religion. That's what he would go. So he was against anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Anything that, I mean, it didn't matter who you were, even if you weren't a Christian. But you would kind of just see it kind of like bleed through his raps, whatever. On top of that, too, he would always battle. I mean, he was always battling guys.
I seen him battle this white boy, ate him.
Exactly.
I was like,
exactly. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of times these guys are rapping and they're just kind of like, you know, I mean, they're talking to Bdot, but they're not really on offense. And so you kind of almost find yourself in a defensive way because Bdot's putting you in a position where the crowd is looking at you differently now. So
and he be talking now. We ain't not going to sleep on Bdot.
Bro,
he be talking.
This is the first battle that I had where I stood across from somebody and I was like, oh, he's like a Swiss Army knife like me too. He could do a lot of different things.
So where was your head at going into this? So because with these implications of like, hey, as someone who is on your side of the fence as it relates to faith, I'm like, all right, bro, rep us well here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Did you feel that from the Christian community at all?
I did, but I'm gonna be honest, bro. If I were to take that battle today, I would be locked in my room for like 2. I would understand like the severity. At that time, though, I'm gonna be honest, bro. I was such a business and marketing genius at the time that, bro, I was doing a sweepstakes because so many fans wanted to come. So I did a sweepstakes where I flew 2 fans out. They had lunch with me. So like then I was on doing media tours.
So you was doing Chris Brown meet and greets before Chris Brown. I was doing out here breaking up happy homes.
Yo, no lie, bro. I was out there doing like a media run, and so like I was doing so much on top of this battle. But every time I would go somewhere, people would just tell me how important this battle was.
Bruh, I'm telling you, I'm from a fan perspective. It's like, so this is what I liken it to, bro. Real talk, and I'm not being like overly dramatic. I liken it to maybe like philosophers of old in like the Roman. I think about like in Paul in the Roman jail.
We had a professor contact us about that.
Where it's like, yo, these are 2 modern day philosophers debating worldviews in battle context. Yeah. And so I'm like, yo, this is entertainment, but I'm like, underneath the surface of entertainment, there is a lot on the line. You know what I'm saying? In terms of how because people will take this and then they won't necessarily do their own due diligence of research to prove out who's right, who's wrong, what to believe, what not to believe. Oh, well, whoever won the battle, that's the correct worldview. And I'm like, yo, there is, I mean, like, could be, I don't want to like, eternal implications at stake for who is winning this rap battle, bro.
To this day, I get contacted about this battle. To this day. Bro, Brother Polite contacted me, bro.
Yeah.
Personally. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he contacted me personally, bro. But he contacted me and showed me love, bro. Like he was like, man, but here's the thing, because no one had ever seen somebody take the offense to be that.
Yeah. Oh, even you going first.
I know you always want to go ahead and question what we believe.
But
there's some holes in what you, and so boom, I'm talking about Shaka Zulu. I'm talking about the pyramid scheme. I'm talking about your relationship with Brother Platt. I'm talking about you always calling the black woman God. Okay, cool. Let's go to break that down. How does that coincide with you also believing in polygamy? Like,
and so to me, like the crux of what I considered your argument was like, if you believe what you say you believe, you have major hypocrisy. Cause like, yo, and we're gonna play it for y'all so y'all can kind of get context. But I'm like, yo, I get the philosophical argument that's happening here because we're not allowed to be hypocrites.
Yeah.
Because if we're hypocrites, throw the whole baby in the bathwater away. If we are individually hypocrites, but like y'all, and I'm not just talking Bdot, I'm just talking kind of like that secular worldview, like. Hypocrisy is okay. Like, I can just be doing, but what I believe is true, but I'm figuring it out on my own. I was like, yo, there is masterclass level jockeying. Okay, so let me take you to some of my favorite lines. All right, so y'all see the video on the screen. So this I want to kind of unpack each one of these joints. Let me turn this up.
For 3 years, I had to watch them go crazy as you condone lies and evil. Thinking like, man, it can be the reason you a model for those closed-minded people. But y'all,
See, okay, so that right there. Like, bro, I'm telling you, I be dissecting these mugs. I be like, yo, you a model for these closed-minded people. Like mannequins, mannequins. Yeah, bro. Fire. Okay, this right here, crazy.
Hey, but y'all gotta pay attention, and the rest you will get filled. It's just funny, he thinks Jesus never died on the cross, but yes, you will get killed.
Bro, where are you at when you writing this, bro? Like, give me the Are you in a dark room with a candle lit? You got like 15 commentaries open. Like, how are you? Give me your space.
I was on the phone with this guy named man, what's his name, bro? He's like an urban apologist, bro. I can't remember who I was, but but I would just like, I would ask him a bunch of questions that I knew were gonna get questioned to me and see how he answered it. And then I would take that and I would be like, okay, cool. But yeah, while I'm writing this, I'm just like, man, you know what? Nah, bro, I'm not letting my foot off the gas. I'm like, I'm coming boom, boom, boom the whole time. And so I wanted to make sure that everything was intentional. You know, it's the hypercritical rapper in me right now. I'm looking at it because you have to mind, this is like,
What is this?
This is 2000 what? 2016, 17?
Oh, I definitely. Let me see. I know it's a few years ago. What does it say that?
Oh, it says 7 years ago right there, right? But I feel like it was even more than that.
Oh yeah, 7 years ago.
So I battled him.
So this was 2018.
I battled him 2017. It dropped 2018, but I battled him 2017.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I battled 2017. So think about that, bro. Like 2017, almost 8 years ago. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, I probably could have said this line better. I could have found a better multi. I could have delivered it, pacing and whatnot. But
aged well though, bro.
Oh yeah,
this
but like
well.
I said, but there's people who love it to this day. Me, it's always hard to like watch my work back because I'm so critical. Ryan Coogler was saying that he can't even watch his movies again after like releasing it to the public. You kind of just got to let the world enjoy it. But that's how I do. I let people enjoy it. But like because I'm just like, oh, I want to get it perfect.
Were you nervous going into this at all?
Man, like, crazy enough, bro. Not like all my other battles, bro. I was so confident. Like there was this piece of me that I was just like, yo, your best work, not even just rapping, but your best material, your best work is always gonna be done when you finish and you say to yourself, I love this so much that I don't care who else does. That's your best work because you're freely able to give that to the world and let it happen. Like whatever happens, happens. So that's what it was. I was so in love with those rounds at that time that you know people came up to me and was like, man, Los, Bdot came up to me afterwards and he told me out himself, this is a testimony piece. He said, yo, if my son, obviously he's gonna raise his son to be parent, but he said, if my son woke up one day that I'm a Christian, I'm gonna go, and he said, I disagree with you, but I want you to talk to somebody. And he said that he would call me, and he said, Los, I don't believe what you believe, but I know you believe what you believe. And he talks about this conviction, this like yo, when I just hear you talk, I know it. He said, I trust you that if it is true, I would tell my son to go talk to you rather than all these other people or whatnot. So, which is the biggest compliment I probably could have ever got from somebody like that.
Talk about apologetic, bro. All right, this line right here is crazy. I got like 2 or 3 more I want the people to hear. This one right here, this Adore joint.
Flip the script. Now I gotta ask though, were you set with the long nose or is it Temple of Cosmos? Do you palm and squeeze biscuits or are you polytheistic? Are you repping divine truth or are you set with the power? Nah, forget that. This little gimmick right here, he wanna act slower. Y'all can adore this blood if you want. I'm still not gonna let him pass over.
You gotta read your. You gotta know your Bible to get that.
And look,
you gotta know the Bible to get that.
I love the parallel that I'm doing. I'm like, yo, are you palming it? Are you palming and squeeze biscuits, or are you polytheistic? Are you like what? Bro, you want to get on me about the hypocrite, but like, yo, you're doing like there's this dichotomy, like, you know what I'm saying, like. Are you doing this or are you doing this? Are you doing this or are you doing this? That's why I was like, yo, I know y'all adore this blood, but I'm not gonna let that pass over. Like,
and then the with the double entendre, like, yo, Old Testament, Passover, blood on the door, like
that's the whole thing. Like it's like, yo, like
crazy.
Like that was the whole thing. Like the three examples I gave. Are you doing this or are you doing this? And if you hear the multis, you like, oh, are you doing this or are you doing this? Are you doing this or this? And then it's like, yo, y'all love him for that. Y'all don't know that, but I'm not gonna let that slide here because he's not letting me slide with whatever y'all got. You know what I'm saying? He's not letting this boom. So that was a real important line too when I said it.
And like what's highlighted to me is like, because even you know, just through some of the things, you know, that was said in his gesture was like, yeah, I'm leaning into that. Like, I'm not even, like it's really like, yeah, I'm a hypocrite, but we don't get that pass. Like the truth that we don't like. And, you know what?
He would say he's not a hypocrite, but his answer always was just like, yeah, I'm Pan-African, but I'm blood. Yeah, like that's what it is. He's like, yo, I'm blood. And I don't know if he has a red bandana on or whatnot. But
on this, wrap on the head.
Yeah, but you know, that's his whole thing. And it's just like, yo, but if I want to go ahead and break down what you're saying you're believing, right? This whole, you know, African spirituality, and then how that kind of contradicts the gang culture that you're representing to me is like, you don't get a pass at that either, bro. You got to go ahead and start, breaking it down. Because, I mean, you're not going to do the same thing for me, so.
Yeah. Nah, dope. Okay, I got 2 more because there's one I got to get to. All right, let's check this one out right here.
Hold it. Shout out to my homie Seven. He's an ex-gang member that became a Christian and left that whole thug life. With one song, he educated me and the homies on exactly how this blood right. He told us that brotherly love overcomes all destruction. That's the acronym for blood, right? Well, Jesus Christ shed his blood to save you and me. I guess he's the only one doing blood right.
Brotherly love overcomes our destruction. Yeah, so I guess like that's the acronym for blood.
Okay.
And so that's why I shouted out Seven, because
I'm familiar with Seven.
Yeah, Seven said in his song, and so that was the whole thing. I was telling him like,
video that's responsible.
yo, that's the acronym for blood, right? The only one who's doing blood right is the Lord. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Nah, man. I mean, just and this is the thing. It's like those who understand the arguments that are being made, like they get it. It's like, oh, you say like the core, like, oh, you a blood, he a blood too. But the way that he's representing blood is the way that is most helpful just for human flourishing. We're not even talking about faiths. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, this is the last line. To me, this is just kind of like a haymaker of a line right here. I want to just check this one out. Now, y'all go check this battle out. Y'all go check this battle out when y'all get a chance. I'm going to put the link in the description.
Everybody on Twitter that disagrees with you. It ain't fair to shun a fan. Make a mental note. You can't love or reach people you don't care to understand. But that's why everybody in the stands, no, listen, that's why everyone in the stands, they ain't copying your gimmicks. One look at us and they can see that you dying.
Look at this homeboy.
If you a
Look at this homeboy behind
I'm
him.
sitting. We both married to the mic, but you robbing.
I'm giving. Look at this homeboy. Look at this homeboy. Look at this homeboy. You know he's been proud. All right, man.
Man, that was such a good battle, bro. Yeah.
So with all of that, like, is there a type of missional, like, are you existing in that space solely from the perspective of like, this is what I do, this is a gift that I have, and it is a vocation? Or is there something else informing that, like, it is a vocation.
Yeah.
It is obviously like it's a means of resources, but like, there is a missional tint, missional thrust that I'm showing up with.
And also it's the conversations I have after this. So granted, right, conversations start because people watch this, right? So there's a sense of like, yo, this is gonna go on YouTube, and where are we at now with views? 500,000? Over almost 500,000?
Yeah.
Right there, right?
Why am I missing?
Look under, it's right there, it's right there. It's right there. If you just go under where it says Shrug Light Network, right under. How many views is that?
Oh yeah, more than 500,000, like 515.
Okay, got you. So look, 500,000, right? And so, yeah, it's like, yo, that's how many people seen it. And so you're like, okay, cool. It's for those people too. But then also, bro, after this, me and Bdot became best friends, bro.
That's dope.
We became best friends. And that's why I told you, he told me that. Like, we became, now granted, we haven't spoken in a long time. He actually kind of like shied away from battle rap and everything. But up until, I want to say maybe from 2018 all the way to 2021. 2018 to 2021, he and I were like best friends. I'm talking about we were on the phone every day.
That's what's up.
Just talking about who is Jesus? Who, like, what are we, like, okay, where are you starting in history? Like, we were just boom. And then also, I mean, we were also having conversations with other people, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just real dope. But we just living life though. Like, I'm talking about with his kids, just him as a father, like different things and whatnot. And so, but that's what every battler I try to have relationships with.
Because that was my question to you, like, has there been challenge? I'm definitely assuming that there have been, like, existing in that world and trying to maintain a certain level of personal conviction and personal representation, right? Because these aren't Christian spaces. Praise God for that. We're infiltrating. We're being light. We're creating friendships and relationships. I love that. With that comes a distinct challenge to say, hey, I am going to connect without assimilating.
Yeah.
I'm going to be without belonging.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But you know what, bro? they kind of already know that though. Like they kind of like the way you carry yourself. That's just how it is. But they always was like real respectful. They kind of was like, yeah, nah, Los don't do that. Like, you know, like, yo, he with us, but you know, he not like they already knew that. They would tell other people, and so, but all they wanted though,
authenticity.
Authentic. So they want somebody. They're gonna really respect somebody who's doing what they do at an excellent level. Like I can't like. As much as you want to kind of not make that important, that's just important, bro. I'm gonna just be honest, bro. Like, if you go to the courts, bro, right? Like, if I'm missing every 3-pointer, if I'm double dribbling,
I don't care what you believe.
If I try to talk to a dude after, he's gonna be like,
box out. But I don't want to hear nothing about your doctrine.
But if I'm shooting deep, if me and my team just ran five games in a row, and then all of a sudden they see me hoop out, and then I come up to them and I talk to them afterwards, they be like, yo, let me talk to you.
Yeah.
Boom. Same thing in battle. Like, because I'm one of the top dudes, it makes it a lot easier now. So with that though, it's like they kind of already get that. They get that notion from me, but then afterwards they just want to know, yo, are you a real person? Do you struggle the way I struggle? Do you mourn the way I mourn? And then also,
do you feel the way I feel? I think there can be this like hyper religious perspective where it's like we are above temptation. It's like
I'm
no,
just
bro.
Like, yo, they just want to know, yo, can we just get
relate?
Yo, can we just go get a sandwich and just talk? That's why I said, bro, like, yo, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. That's real for him too. It's like, yo, like, and that was real for me. Like, yo, these people don't care about what you like. Yo, I could break down as to everybody why it's not the white man's religion.
You went to seminary.
I went to Bible college and I was gonna go to seminary, but I got my 4-year degree though. I got a bachelor's in pastoral studies. But no one cares about if I could go break that down if I don't care that their homie just got shot or that their mom got cancer and I'm not willing to pray for them.
Right.
You think they want to hear me break down how a brown-skinned Middle Eastern Jew came from, you know what I'm saying, that the Bible has over 1,500 years, 40 different, I could do all of that. I could do that in my sleep. That is not going to help this individual who's literally saying, yo, I can't pay the light bill, bro.
Right.
And does God care about that?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's been something just in my own personal walk with the Lord. That's been kind of revolutionary to be like, yo, God not only cares about, and this is just me, God not only cares about my personal level of holiness and how I conduct myself, but not to say even deeper than that, but just as important, like, yo, he cares about the anxiety that I may have about whatever, you know?
Everything.
And so like that personally has been fairly recently too, man, over the last 2 or 3 years, just a revelation to me that it's like, yo, it doesn't matter how much Bible I can quote. It doesn't matter how stylistically, how like I can communicate that in a way that is palatable and entertaining or whatever. It's like, yo, where's my heart? Is my heart at rest in him, and does the rest of my life flow from that place? Okay, I'm gonna get you out of here. I got like 1 or 2 more questions for you. Like with the conversation of like the challenges or maybe just the wisdom to navigate the battle hip hop space, I would assume that you have probably experienced just as much, if not more, challenge from the faith community to say, like, we don't understand why you're there and why you're doing this. And, you know, like talk to me a little bit about maybe some of the challenges coming from like the faith community that has been something to navigate.
Yeah, even my own brother was, I remember early on, he was like, nah, I don't think that's out of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? He grew up, it's like, all right, bro. But even, you got some people who just felt like, nah, you shouldn't be there, or the way that you're communicating, like, right? Like, they don't understand the sport though, but I don't expect them to, right? You get somebody like who's looking at me in his face, screaming and doing this, but they're not really listening to the message. They're just seeing the packages was coming. They're like, oh, there's no way that this could be of God, of the Lord, right? And so,
or that God could be using this.
So that so you're getting pushback from other ways. But what I try to communicate was like, look, this may not be your cup of tea, right? Hip hop may not be a thing, but what I'm just asking is like, you know what? I'm not asking you to go down in the well with me, but hold the ropes. Not everybody's called to be a missionary, right? You may not understand why old boy's trying to go to Ethiopia in the middle of what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, but can you support him though?
Yeah.
Can you pray for him? Can you?
Yeah.
You don't understand, and you're not called to do it, and not everybody is called to go.
Mm-hmm.
But you're supposed to help those who are called though.
Yeah.
And so my thing is like, there are aspects of there, and there's gonna be more, bro. There's gonna be, we're not gonna understand why when a believer tells us like, yo, I'm one of the biggest streamers in the world in a minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
Me and you come from a generation where YouTube was just a thing when we were coming up.
Yeah.
Now your kids are growing up, right? And the biggest,
they know how to navigate it. My boys.
Think about it, bro. The most famous people in the world are streamers now, right?
Yeah.
It used to be athletes, it used to be streamers, but it's gonna get to a point where you're like, oh, there's gonna be some people who's gonna be like, yo, this is my mission field.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be doing you like, yo, why are you always on the video game and why are you always on this? It's like we just don't understand it.
Yeah.
We just don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna keep happening. I'm pretty sure even before our time, right? There was people who was looking at, Kirk and them when they started doing gospel music, and maybe even before them.
Just think about how crazy it is when Stomp came out. People was like, "Yo, this is too." Now that looks so tame and so docile. It's like y'all was tripping off Stomp.
Yeah,
like, stop it. All right, listen. I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to make sure I'm being respectful of the time. Listen, we're gonna go to one more segment. This is my favorite segment because I do this segment as Words for Nerds. Y'all go check it out. We coming right back. Okay. It's that time again. We are at it again with this week's Words for Nerds segment. So let's get nerdy. And this week's word is regality. Regality. I love this word because it is a great word to describe a person, to describe a place, to describe an event, maybe the sense of feeling that a person can contrive. Regality. So this is what it means. Regality means royalty, sovereignty, or kingship. This is another one. Regality is a right or a privilege pertaining to a sovereign. It's a kingly, regal, splendorous, that's a word, type of word. And so I'll use it in a sentence. And I think these sentences are like kind of off the cuff. And so I don't pre-plan these sentences. It's a good one. So more times than not, when my wife walks into a room, she has an air of regality about her. That's a good one. That's a real good one. So regality just basically means an implication or a sense of royalty, kingship, sovereignty. That's a good word. Listen, as I said last week, moving forward with Words for Nerds, on every following episode, I'm going to be identifying one lucky winner of the Words for Nerds segment for the week. Comment a sentence in the comment section below using the word for this week. The word this week is regality. Best sentence wins a prize and will be shouted out on next week's episode. That starts this week. Okay, so make sure that you're dialed into the word. Man, a really good practice that I use for years, not so much as of late, but it has helped me in just building a really good base of vocabulary for me to be able to speak and articulate. Is I used to have like index cards, and I would write a word of the week down on the index card and its definition, and I would carry it around in my pocket all week long. Like I was serious about growing my vocabulary. And so I really encourage you all to maybe do the same practice. Maybe you can't put it in your pocket, but maybe you can tape it on the dashboard of your car and really grow your vocabulary week over week, one word at a time. If you can add 52 words to your vocabulary this year, I'm telling you, you will create a superpower for yourself to be able to communicate your thoughts and your feelings and your ideas in such an effective, clear, articulate way. And so listen, take this segment serious. This week's word is regality. Best sentence in the comment wins. And these ain't gonna be no foo-foo prizes, okay? Each week, I'm gonna shout out whoever it is that has the best word for the week. And then I'll be contacting you through social media to make sure I get that prize in your hand. All right, let's get back to the show. Peace. Welcome back, family. All right, listen, we at the tail end of this conversation of this episode. This has been a good one. Listen, man, I highly encourage y'all to go check out my boy Loso's rap battle. Now, listen, because the algorithm is going algorithm, if you go check it out, it's going to lead you to other rap battles, and everybody ain't on what we talking about. Yeah. But it is an amazing world if you enjoy the sport of hip hop and poetry and lyricism. And so definitely check out the battle that I'm putting in the description, because it's going to be really dope just for your viewing purposes and educational as well. All right, so legacy, bro. I think rightfully assume that you're someone who lives with a level of intention. What do you want your legacy to be? And I'm not just talking battle rap. I'm just talking, how do you say your last name?
Bedoya.
Yep. Carlos Bedoya, the man. Mm-hmm. Like what do you want the lasting memory of you to be in the world?
I guess like maybe for people who kind of like follow Loso or whatnot, man, that he did whatever he did, because I like to put my, all my eggs ain't in one basket. I like doing a lot of different things, but he was a creative with intentionality and with purpose that was always apart from getting fame. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do like being in front of the camera, but it's always for intentionality, whether it's to educate, whether it's to bring light to somebody. I think that if they could kind of look at my work and kind of put one word on it, it would be it would just be inspiring. And also I know for me growing up, there was a lot of people that I looked up to that kind of seemed like that they, once I did meet, that they weren't really who they said they were. I never wanted to be. There was a lot of people who
let me cut you off. Let me cut you off, because I think this is really noteworthy to say this. Because I knew you from 10, 12, 13, 15 years ago, whatever. Mm-hmm. And the version of you that I knew, I was like, I like this guy. Apart from like, I love this because it's my brother in Christ. That's quote unquote supposed to be mandatory, right? But like personality wise, disposition, like, Loso cool. And to then kind of reconnect with you 10, 15 years later when I went to your battle here locally, and you still maintain the same essence of who you are now and then, that speaks volumes to a kind of I think a level of intentional inner work to be like, yo, your life has gone up, right? But like there's a certain, hopefully a plumb line of like kind of who you are that remains the same. And that's been that was something that was and is like a pleasant surprise. Like, man, people change, so I expect everyone not to be the same. Hopefully no one is the same today as they were 10 years from now, but like to keep the same essence of like who they are, like hopefully the positive parts of who they are. Like, man, that's super dope. Bro, it's something that hit my radar immediately when you and I reconnect and start
especially
talking.
When you start getting into circles where more popping people know you, right? Bro, Drake knows who I am. Like Joe Budden's talking about my podcast, like different things where you're like, it could easily put you to a place where quote unquote regular people, right? For whatever, if you want to call them that, like you kind of treat them differently. But I was always told, man, treat superstars like regular people and treat regular people like superstars. And that will go ahead and get you a long way, bro. And so for me, I want people to realize that. But then also on the flip side, as far as personally, my legacy, forgiveness and grace, bro. Like, I mean, life is hard. We just lost a brother that I told you, he was, one thing about him, bro, it did not matter what was going on in his life. He cared about people. He cared about what you were going through, and he did not count it as you like flexing on him because you were hanging out with, if you had a better relationship than him, a better car, a better thing. He was always genuinely happy. I want to be genuinely happy for people, and I also want to extend grace whenever people fall. And that's how I want to be remembered, bro. I want to be racing to forgive, and I always wanted to let them answer the question like, yo, am I if you failed in the most miserable way, if you felt like, think about the most craziest way you could have dropped the ball. Am I the first person you would have called or the last person you would have called? And that's how I feel like churches should be looked at. Answer that. Like, whatever church you go to, like, yo, if you messed up is your pastor the first person you called or the last person you called? Is your mom the last person? Is your spouse? You know what I'm saying? And that lets you know what kind of relationship of grace you have with that entity or individual. And for me, I would hope that I have built a consistent reputation with individuals where they're like, man, I know I could go to him. He's gonna help me, but he's also gonna meet me where I'm at. So
I love that. I love that. Man, listen, bro, this has been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Lord willing, when you're not, jet setting around the country, I can get you back on once you win this tournament at some point in the future.
Recap it,
Any
bro.
special projects, merch, links, websites you want to push people to?
Yeah, man, you go to my follow everything. It's called Everything Loso. If you want everything, whatever I got going on, go to my Instagram, my Twitter, my TikTok. It's Everything Loso. Instagram is really where I promote what I got going next. You'll see exactly where I'm performing at battles. I do have a show at the end of the month in Virginia. Other than that, I'm battling pretty much every weekend. But if you want to go to my website as well and support, you can donate there as well to the cause, what I got going on. You can also, I got to update my merch, but I got some hoodies up there and stuff like that you could purchase. I know it's hot right now, but I just, like I said, I haven't updated.
These kids, they wear hoodies top of the summer now.
But it doesn't matter though. Rack up right now because it's low price. I put them mugs down for like $15 or something. I don't know what it is. Yeah.
I'm gonna need to get
so
me
go
some.
go to everythingloso.com, but definitely my Instagram, man. And so so you just stay in tune, bro.
Man, I love that. Listen, all of his socials, y'all see it on the screen. They're going to be in the description as well. This is a good brother worth following, worth just kind of tracking with his journey, and definitely supporting, man, because as you can see and as you can hear, the level of missionary work that is authentic and is super relevant. And so, man, listen, bro, thank you for driving over here first and foremost, taking the time, man. Best of luck to you in that tournament that you in. When you win that 10K and you want to sow into this ministry, my brother.
Facts.
All right, man. Listen, this has been a great episode, man. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all make sure y'all share, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. This is going to be the content that you guys are going to be getting and so much more. I appreciate y'all tuning in. This is the Expert Human Pod. Peace.
Yes, sir.